Okay, thank you. So besides that, I'm an alternate member and patient advocate. I'm a parent, a father of a child with rare disease. So having both perspectives as a representative of the patients and with rare disease, and I'm a member of a patient family and parent of a child with rare disease. At the same time, I'm a PhD candidate at the doctoral school of the University of Gdansk. So just before we start, my disclaimer, the views and the opinions expressed during the presentation are solely mine and not necessarily reflect the official policy, position, or opinion of European Medicine Agency or the committee or its members. So what is the Pediatric Committee? This is one of the 7 committees of the European Medicine Agency. It was established in 2006. The need was to boost the development of pediatric medicines and to enhance the pharma industry and the ecosystem of pediatric medicines, but also, as we all know, in this community, most of the rare disease is the bigger part of the rare disease are pediatric diseases. Also for the rare disease, the main task and the main goal of the PDCO is assessing the content of pediatric investigation plan. In the acronym is PIP, and adopting opinions about them. Margareta mentioned about the rapporteur and peer reviewers and working on assessing different aspects of the clinical trial development and before the market authorization done by CHMP. So the PDCO is responsible for assessing this pediatric investigation plans from birth to less than 18 years. And as you may see in the last bullet point, PDCO is not responsible for marketing authorization application for medicine for use in children, which remit to the CHMP as aforementioned by Margareta. So this is the composition of the PDCO. I will not read the full slide, but what I would like to underline, which was expressed and emphasized by Francois at the beginning, but also by the Margareta, and I think we will hear it in the different occasions here during this presentation, during this event. Patients are really important at this committee. As you may see, PDCO is composed of 3 members and 3 alternates of representing healthcare professionals, which are important stakeholders of the ecosystem for developing the medical medicines and medicines for rare diseases, and 3 members and 3 alternates representing patient associations. I will not talk what means alternate and what members, but in summary, all 6 representatives of members and alternates, if they are willing and are open to work on behalf of the committee, they can be involved in assessing and taking part in the discussion and assess the PIPs and different various activities of the committee. In my personal opinion, which of course are more, as I explained, all of them are personal, but this is one of the most patient-centric in the numbers, but of course our colleagues from COMP and other committees are open as a whole agency for listening the voice of the patient. And I'm saying it from both perspectives, because I'm now an alternate member, but you have heard today about the scientific advice, the protocol, any other interaction between stakeholders. And I had this pleasure to be involved as a patient representative itself, as a parent, as a father of a rare disease child, to many activities of the European Medicine Agency, where the views and expressed by us, the opinions were treated in a most valuable way and taken into account in the process they were asked, where we were asked to do so. What is the pediatric investigation plan? Is planned to develop and enhance ensure all necessary data that are obtained during the studies in children, and what is more important, they are safe to do so, to investigate the medicines for children, during the clinical trials for children, and to support the authorization of medicines for children. So all the applications based on this regulation I have shown you on my first slide are asked to prepare and to submit the agreed PIP to the PDCO. Of course, there are some exemptions. The exemptions are called deferral or waiver. So pediatric committee, PDCO, may grant a PIP deferrals for medicines. So it allows applicant to delay the development of the medicine in children. And for example, as the information of effectiveness is delivered from the studies of adults, of the safety data, or the other important components are based and established on the adult study. The waiver can be granted on specific pediatric population or the group, which is, for example, not occurring in the specific disease, for example, in newborn children or children below 2 years of age, because it's only existing above 12 in adolescents and young adults above 12 years of age. So this is the role, very important, of the PDCO to assess the request from the applicant, whether he can be granted with a deferral or a waiver or both of them in the same PIP. So the objective of PR, which is I use the acronym for pediatric regulation, is to facilitate the development and availability of the medicines for children. Before the regulation was introduced, it was the discussion was how to support the development, because it was insufficient. The drugs, the medicines were developed only for adults, on very seldom for children in the child indication. Also, this is also important from the perspective of the quality, but the safety and ethical research for children and safety of the participants of children, not to prevent the off-label use of medicines for adults in pediatric population. But of course, the aim of the pediatric regulation is also to protect children from unnecessary participation in the trials, and also not to delay the development of the medicine in adults, just not to make a worse scenario when we will delay the development for adults, which are also important in this framework of the patient with rare diseases, and not only rare diseases. This is the pediatric regulations in acting. So it's a obliged company at early stage of the development of the research and development program, PIP, to liaise with EMA. This regulation has a direct impact on companies' expenditures for research and development, which also influence positively on the pediatric research. And if the company fails with the agreed PIP, the marketing authorization may be blocked. So it's quite important tool in the hands of regulatory to speed up or to enhance the process of development and delivering the pediatric medicines. These are some examples of the measures to support pediatric development. It was mentioned by Margareta about the free scientific advice for the industry about the pediatric regulation, additional protection of the intellectual property rights, or the additional 2 years of market exclusivity added to the 10 years of market exclusivity under the orphan designation, which was also mentioned by Margareta. Now we are at the time where the Commission and the European Medicine Agency is making the evaluation of this pediatric and orphan document, which was issued quite not so long ago. The context is that, as I mentioned before, the two regulations for more orphan medical products and for the medicines for children are really closely cooperating. As we all know, majority of the, as it was told before, majority of rare disease may appear in childhood, and many children's disease are also rare, and it was based on evidence-based analysis and what is the influence of the public health system and the social economic. The summary of the joint assessment done by the European Commission and the Parliament for the both regulation has fostered the development and the availability of the medicines for children. Of course, it's never too good that we could not improve the system. Constant development is always desired. So the number of medicines has increased for children. As I mentioned before, the safety aspect is very important, because the pediatric regulation and the orphan regulation also reduce the off-label use of the medicines for adults in children. But of course, not all the aim goals were achieved in the full scope, and it's written in the fourth bullet point, not both regulations not adequately support the development in the areas where is the unmet need, and when the need for the medicines is the greatest, and of course, the development of children needs, in opinion stated in the report, are mainly driven by adult needs. Of course, which was also said before, the pediatric regulation imposed the increasement of investments or R&D investments for the companies in the pediatric investigation, but this also increased the cost for healthcare system. But the authors of the joint report, have stated that although the cost was increased, still the benefit cost ratio was in favor of improving the patient's life and the quality of life. And of course, which is a topic for us all the time, and we need to face it, is that the one is market approved drug, but the second thing is whether the medicine is affordable and accessible in all member states and for every patient in every country where it's needed. So that, but of course, this is beside the regulation and regulated in this aforementioned regulation. So I will finish now, as we are approaching the time limit which I was asked to deliver. So this is the next step. Now it's under development, pharmaceutical strategy. So we are facing a giant social, developmental, and technology leap in the development of our societies and communities, which we are facing. For example, the technology, IT, the decentralized clinical trials, but also all the tools that are supporting the effectiveness and the real-world evidence and evidence-based medicine. So, and of course, now after the pandemic, we are more resilient, and we have lesson learned how we can speed up the process, how we can face the problems, like for example, free movement of participants between the clinical sites. So all these aspects are underlying the need for developing the pharmaceutical strategy for Europe in the future. Maybe I will finish with the sentence which I used 3 years ago or 4 years ago before the COVID, and talking about the participation of early families in the clinical trials. and it is a kind of slogan. It's a mutual effort for mutual benefit. So we are all in the same ecosystem, and we should liaise all each other and cooperate for the benefit of all stakeholders, trying to find the gold balance between all the needs and all the perspectives of the sites participating in the clinical trials and the development of medical and orphan products. Thank you for your attention. I'm really pleased for inviting me and being with you in remote setup, but I'm happy that you saved the time and were willing to invite me and listen what I have presented. So thank you very much, Bojana, and all the organizers for excellent event.